Hi, this is Blue Phoenix, and in this video I'm going to be covering Synfire 2's new factories, which are used to generate patterns. You can do chord progressions or like piano melodies or bass lines. It's super cool. The last video is really just meant to be like a very first look for a Synfire 1 user, just to dive in and see what it looked like. I didn't read the manual. I know that drew a lot of comments, a lot of fire, but I really was just trying to jump in and see what it had to offer. So what I've done here is I've opened up the Synfire 2 now to the library, and there was actually an update to build 49, which I went ahead and grabbed. I'm going to create a new library first of all. I'm just going to call this like Synfire V2 intro. I've also changed my setup, so I'm using only samplers and the synth, the sound case, and the Sprite plugins, so I don't have any of my external synths set up anymore. So I'm going to go through all these different options here, just starting with bass. Also, I turned on tooltips, which is, it's a thing. So I can, on the step tab, then change where the notes are going to show up in timing. So this is almost like a rhythmic decision. So for example, this has a very heavy emphasis on 16th notes. So if I hit this guy here, and let me zoom that in. Also, I'm not sure which harmony it's using here, so you'll have to bear with me. Or which chord progression. It's using one, so don't worry about it. So you can see there's a lot of these notes here on the 16ths. Whereas if I were to say, let's say we want most of them to be 1/4 notes and a few on 1/8, I'll generate another one here. So again, this is one reason I find this software to be unintuitive. When I generated a new, I hit the factory again, it reset the zoom. Why did it do that? I mean, I forgot. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And actually, I just now noticed the chord progression here: C major 7, G, A, blah 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 blah. So that's the steps, and there are different drop downs here to like. These are like presets for these particular sliders. So if I just say bass 1, and then you can do dotted notes as well. Similarity, I believe this would be like with consecutive notes, if you want them to be very similar in where they land. This must be the pitch more so than the, sorry about that. Okay, on the flow tab, we have a lot of choices here as well. Again, this factory dropdown appears to be just different presets that we can select from. And metric stops has a lot of options, none disabled. I'm not sure why that's there. Maybe that's going to be filled in with something new later. I'm turning these tooltips off. So under metric stops, we then have more presets. Let's say stop strumming and see how that sounds. So I believe what flow is doing is figuring out how long notes should be, or rather, I believe these beat divisions are where the notes will end. So this is a change of the probability of where notes will end in flow. Okay. Velocity, this is fairly straightforward. This would just be how hard are the notes going to hit. So you can see there's some variety in the velocity. If I set this to just 100 and say full on, the bass is going to be constantly hitting as hard as it can. And then of course you could randomize the randomizer as well. So, okay, in units we've got spans, which I believe this also has something to do with lengths of notes. I'm not sure how that works with flow and, well, step is where the notes start. And then spans is how long they are. So flow, I'm not sure how that works with units. I believe it's producing another set of parameters that you could then modify without having to change the figure. So you could basically change the length of the note by changing flow instead of changing the figure. Anyway, so units, what this is doing here is saying, like, it's kind of controlling where pitches are. So I remember last time I looked at ostinato, which I thought was a funny word. I've never heard it. When I said ostinato 100%, it's all the same note. Arpeggio, of course, you're going to get these consecutive pitch notes. Octaves, it's going to go up and down octave. Okay. And then runs, I'm going to imagine similar to arpeggio, but maybe with a little bit more distance between the notes. So that's pretty cool. Of course, you have the dice as well. Okay, so on the segments tab, we have some very strange things. I do understand that symbol here is, if you're familiar with Synfire 1, this would be the horizontal, vertical, chord pitch, bass, relative. That's just like the color of the notes. It's basically telling the arrangement what job this particular instrument has. It's bass in this case, because it's a bass line. As far as these segments here, I've actually got I've got this open here because there's actually a lot of documentation about what these numbers are here, and just reading over it, I'm not sure I quite understand it with what it does, but I'd have to play around with it more. It does appear to have something to do with how far apart these notes are. So, I mean, I don't know if I just randomize that. You can see like these notes are one apart. That's the one there, perhaps. And the tail would be at the end of a segment, which is a collection of notes when they're grouped together. That's a segment. Pause being, I'm not entirely sure again. So how does that go with step, flow, and spans? Pause must be the gaps between notes, I'm imagining. So all that being said, it's just giving us a ton of options here, so that when you hit this button and you're like, well, it's close, but you know, maybe I don't like how close these notes are, so I can go over to units and maybe change it to more arpeggiation. And of course, it's still, hold on, it's because of this setting here. Let's roll them dice. These are still really close. Let's see here. I see. Intrameasure similarity was set to none. There we go. There's a little bit more variation. Now you can see at the top here, it's been creating all of these clips in it's called a phrase pool. And this is in the library I just created. So it puts in this lines bass single, and here they are. I can always go back and replay these. So one concern I had was, well, is this going to bloat up my library? Is it going to get kind of crazy? So one thing you can do here is you can either say, well, maybe I just don't like this one. I just hit the trash can. It's gone. I can also favorite ones. And let's say I just go over here and mark a few of these favorite. I can then go and, let's see here. Where is that? Pool, keep only favorites. All right. Oops. Keep only favorites. It's going to blow away the ones I did not favorite. Can I undo that? No, I cannot undo that. So keep that in mind. It doesn't warn you that that deletion is permanent. So below lines bass, there are different presets here as well. There's single and then multi. The difference between single and multi, you have a lot more options here for your heads and your tails of your segments. Piano bass, I believe, will actually do chords. So let's see here. Starting new chords. It's interesting too that this preset went ahead and flipped over to the piano global instrument instead of the bass. That's kind of nice. All right, so let's move on because bass is just the start of it. Chords. It's not bad. All right, so piano chords is it's just gonna. It's kind of producing a rhythmic, looks like four note chords here with the progression. You can do some really neat stuff here with broken chords. Let me just show you what that does here. Pretty neat, huh? And then if I think we can set that to be even tighter if we wanted to. That's a little too tight. Timing variation, I think we could just have strange. So you can tell there's a little bit of error in when it starts, which is more natural. It sounds a lot more like how a piano player actually play a piano. They're not hitting all four notes at exactly the same moment in time. And again, it looks like this similar to the bass. We can figure out where the notes are going to start, how long they should be, the velocity of those notes, and I guess this would be rests. Okay, so that's chords. We could also say we want arpeggiated chords. And again, these have very similar things here: step, flow, velocity. It's the stuff we've seen before. I'm not going to go over it again, but these are just a lot of little knobs you can twist to give you better effects. So that's chords. Now the drums actually was pretty neat because you can actually, let me see here. Let's say I just want the hi-hats. That's not very interesting because we've got 1/16 set to 100%. Let's say maybe we want to take that down. And this should give us some, I would have thought. Let's turn these similarities down. There we go. It looks like there's a different hi-hat sound that's also going to throw in there. So that's pretty neat. Okay, so that's a hi-hat. We can do the bass drum on its own. And the rim, of course. There's really nothing fancy here. And the snare drum. Okay, so you could generate each of those drums separately. I'm going to show you in a little bit how you can do all of the drums together, but right now that's the drums, drum lines. Okay. Melody. Again, we've got a lot of different choices here. So, I don't know, let's just start with a generic melody single. Again, we've got just so many options here to go through. I'm not going to go through all of these, but like let's say we said sequencer, so we get a completely different. That's more rhythmic than very melodious. Okay, so I don't know, random structured. You could also do piano right hand. This tends to create some more complicated. Ton of options here. Yeah, it's just someone's going crazy on that piano there. So there you go. That's melodies. So under parameters, this one's a little bit less interesting to listen to, but I can go ahead in here and say I want to create a just a velocity pattern. So you can see this here, created this thing here, and in a future video I'm going to show you, you can just drop that in on a existing arrangement or a snippet, I believe, and it will take that velocity and add it to its own parameters. So that's kind of neat. Unfortunately, you can't really hear these, but but you can do that for flow, harmony, pause, skip. Yeah. Harmony now is actually, sorry, harmony is a little bit different. This is where you can generate chord progressions at random. So let's say we're in the mood for A minor. How about, I don't know, E flat major? And we'll say we want 2/4 bars, or a change every 2 beats, basically. And I'll just hit this guy. It's a bit loud. 1 second here. Let me change the chords here to, that's really strange because I had set that volume down before. I guess we just wanted to start over. That's better. I gotta admit, it sounds a little odd to me. When I looked at this in the palette browser, it looked like a lot of the chords weren't really in the scale, but if you look down here, they all say E, B major, so I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong. So richness, like if we want to do this. And then more complex. I'm not sure what makes that more complex, but open. So I'm not sure why, but when I've used this, it doesn't really sound good. I played with this for like 15, 20 minutes, and I never found a progression I really liked, but then I was able to take it into the palette browser, or the palette editor, and switch a few things around and get something that I was a little bit more happy with. Okay, also, if you generate 8 chords, you have a choice here for, it says sec dominance. Not sure if that's secondary dominance or All right, so again, all of our chord progressions are up here. And you can drag that into the progression tab later. In fact, why don't we just try that now? So if I open that library up, there it is. Okay, so for the drums, we have the ability to just generate patterns for all of the drums together. Let's say that rim shot is just a little bit too crazy. We could say change this up a bit and say, well, let's tame that a little bit. Sadly, there's no other choices here for the sounds. It's just experimental kit 1, which is like kind of that acoustic sounding. So hopefully they'll add more instruments there. That would be really cool. But it gives you a good sense of how a particular drum pattern would sound. Phrases. Let's go to piano first. And what it's going to do here is generate both the left and right hand. Pretty cool, huh? So you can actually, again, just like you could do with the single line melodies, you have all these options for the bass line, the melody, and those chords as well. So it's really just generating 3 lines together. So if I want to generate another one. Pretty neat, huh? Pretty neat. And that was piano parts. Looks like that's the only choice here. And you could like put this in your library and then drag it into an arrangement. And if you wanted to, you could split the parts up into separate instruments later on. And, all right, counterpoint. So we have counterpoint melodies and counterpoint skipped. Let's start with counterpoint melodies here. Again, I think what this is generating is basically 3, just like you were generating a melody line. You've got, looks like it's going to generate a horizontal notes, chords, and bass. So let's listen to that. I will say maybe the BPM is a little fast for these. Or, okay, the BPM is down here, and I don't seem to be able to change it that way. Okay, so the global tempo is not used here. Okay. So just because it's complicated doesn't mean it can't be intuitive. I've got the global BPM I've set here, and it's totally ignoring that. Now, maybe it will use it in the next one. That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. All right, so that's the counterpoint melodies. Now, you can actually then say, well, I want my, let's see here, the bass is a little, let's say the bass is a little crazy here. Oh my goodness. So instead of line 3 being a generic melody single, we could be like, well, generic melody single is what it is. I don't know, ARP. So that's interesting. So line 2 is using the chord symbol type, and so is line 3. So I guess they're colliding. That must be the problem there. So there could be some issues when you when you try to do that. But certainly you could take any of these, and that's a really good springboard into some, whatever song you're going to make. It's pretty darn cool. Counterpoint skipped. Let's try that. So skipping melody, skipping arp. Okay. Kind of sounds like you're playing a video game and you get to the end of the level and you're celebrating. Okay, so system core I have not tried, but there's no interface, so that's it. So now we've kind of built up a library here, and I can now go into my, let's go ahead and save the library and go over to structure, and let's just say I've got my chord progression here. Tell you what, let's pick a different chord progression. Okay, so let's just say we wanted to use this. Start this over again. Okay, let's say we wanted to start with this chord progression and then go over to the palette here, and this palette is the wrong note, so we want to start with E flat, and it was pretty sure it was minor, so. Sorry, it was major. Okay, so. So notice it selected the A, B minor down here, and I believe it should have selected the A, B from the top. So it's a little confusing to me why it's selecting chords that were outside the scale I had selected. I probably just don't understand music theory. That's my problem. Where is that? E flat minor B3. Pick some more fatter chords here then. Ah, yes. Okay. We'll go with that progression there. So, sorry, I'm just pulling a progression in from the library as a start and then fixing it, so to speak. Again, I don't understand why it's that's it. I'm just gonna drag it in. Boom. So we got one piano. Let's grab a bass. Done. We'll use the global instrument. I'm gonna grab the, what was it, the drum experimental kit. So again, not intuitive. You're already playing the drums. Why would you ask me? I don't know. It already knows it's using the drums, but then when I drag it in, has no idea. And then finally, let's grab. So that's the chords, the bass, the drums. Yeah. And let's see how that sounds. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's already good. I'll just drag a few things in there. So I love that bass sound, by the way. It's very synth wavy. So let's say that's one container here. Now let's grab a melody. It's kind of thinking grab this down here. No preset or device was found for sound. I don't know. I don't know. You're already playing the instrument I wanted over here, so. These are way too low. So if I go to so I kind of like it. You used to have to edit it inside of the window up here. I kind of like that it pulls up a different panel now, and we want to use the upper range. There we go. I'm also going to, that piano is very dry. I'm going to add a little bit of reverb. Not that way anyway. This should be the reverb here. There we go. Not bad. You could certainly write a song out of this. I feel like the hats are a little bit much, or hats. Just delete a few of these out of here and chill out a little bit, hats. Feels like something you'd hear at like an ice cream store. I don't know. Or maybe a carnival. I'm not sure. But wow, that's cool. I mean, I can just take these bits in here, throw them in here, and you can see I didn't really even try or even think about it. I just grabbed a few things, threw it in here. That's a really good start to a song. So I could certainly go with that and make a full song out of that. So in conclusion, the factories give you a very powerful way to generate melodies, bass, chords, progressions, and play around with them. And then it's really easy to take those pieces and drag them from your library right into an arrangement and see how they sound together. So hope you found that useful. If you're on the fence about upgrading to Synfire 2, the factories are certainly a tool that might push you into the upgrade for sure. So give it a shot. I mean, it's pretty awesome. So I hope you found this useful. The next video, I'm going to go into the snippets tab, snippets panel, and show you what that's all about. I'm still playing around with it and trying to figure out exactly how it works, but I've kind of got a grasp on it. But it's a little weird. So anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Bye.